I'm Shelley, and this is the first episode of Knittings and Sewings. I am a multi-craftal person from the Midwest. I live in the Kansas City general area and don't live too far away from Yarn Barn of Kansas, if you're familiar. Missouri and Kansas are kind of very close together, so the Kansas City area encompasses both. And that's where I'm coming to you from today on this delightfully odd December 30th winter sort of spring day. We have had extremely cold temperatures over the last few weeks. However, for some reason we are having like a 55 degree day or 60 degree day today. So I'm taking advantage of the wonderful weather to film outside for the first time. I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. The purpose of me sharing on YouTube is so that I can share my love and passion for various crafts, including knitting, spinning, weaving, sewing, crochet, a wide variety of things, as we will, explore during the time that we are together over many episodes, hopefully. My goal is to try to record about once a month. If that works out, we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to come to you as I have projects to show and content to deliver that I think you might be interested in. But please feel free to subscribe to this channel and to comment below to grow the channel and to share with people who you think might be interested in hearing about this type of subject matter. And I'll be sharing a wide variety of things with you, but this particular time I have 3 things I am going to try to cover. Number 1, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. And then I'm going to go into talking about what I'm currently wearing. The shawl I'm wearing is called Shawlography by Stephen West that I just recently completed. And third, I'm going to talk to you about my Make 9 goals for this year, which is something that I have done for the last couple of years, and it's helped me be more productive in my accomplishing a lot of my crafty goals. So that's what we'll be doing in kind of giving you an overview. First of all, I'm not real great at editing, so please bear with me. I may get better at that as we go along, but for right now, I'm just going to go with what I have now, which is my limited ability to do video, and I'm just videoing this on my camera. So, to start off, let's talk about who I am. Again, I already told you where I live, the general area I live, and the crafts that I did mostly last year, I accomplished quite a bit in 2022 by having a Make 9 list. And the main things I did last year involved a lot of knitting and a lot of spinning. And so this year I hope to segue that into moving to some weaving as well, because last year I did not get a lot of weaving accomplished. I was really focused into the spinning. And the book that I used to guide me, I do like to have a book to guide me along. And the book that I focused on last year was called Yarn and Texture. And this is by Jillian Marino. She is an amazing author, and she used to be an editor of several of the craft magazines, I think Interweave Knits, among others. I'm not exactly sure of her whole pedigree, but she's an excellent teacher, and she's taught at Ply Away several years with Ply Magazine. She's an excellent instructor, and I highly recommend this book. It is composed of 9 chapters, the last of which is involving projects. I focused about one topic a month, 1 chapter a month, and really felt like I brought my spinning up to the next level by following a lot of the guidelines in this book. So this year I'm hoping to use that same kind of focus by turning it into a little bit more of a weaving focus. I'll continue with the spinning, but I would like to use Next Steps in Weaving by Patty Graver as my guide to stepping up my weaving this year, primarily on my 4-shaft loom. I no longer have, I've used rigid heddle looms before, but I no longer have a 8-shaft loom. I felt it was a little overwhelming for me, so I ended up selling that. And so for right now, I'm going to be doing weaving on my 4-shaft loom and taking this book chapter by chapter to learn various techniques that I feel are kind of slipped between the cracks in my beginning weaving to getting to the point where I am. There's a lot I have lost in between that I hope to accomplish by studying this book this year as my study focus. And I'll be talking to you about things I learn as I go about that book. So for the past year, I have been doing a lot of spinning, and I have 4 spinning wheels. One of my spinning wheels is sitting here beside me. I'll move the camera a little bit. Bear with me. Oh, I don't know if I can show it. But my spinning wheel is my Ashford Traditional. I'm not going to be able to show that, I guess. Sorry about that. But it's an Ashford Traditional from my grandmother, who taught me to do all things crafty, starting with knitting when I was 6. And then she, as she aged, wanted me to take over her spinning wheel, and that was in 2008. So I took the spinning wheel and went to Yarn Barn, got it tuned up, and learned how to spin with a basic spinning class. And that is, like I said, a real mentor of mine was my grandmother. So this wheel I've had since 2008, and I also in 2011 purchased a matchless spinning wheel from Yarn Barn, a shacked matchless I bought new, and I also developed an interest in rigid heddle weaving, which eventually led to 4-shaft weaving. So this year I have the 2 spinning wheels I've always had for years, and then I also, this last month in December, I think I can move these over and show you, I have purchased a Nano Dreaming Robot wheel, which is a small transportable wheel. It's an e-spinner. And then I also bought their EE6, which is their larger wheel. I'm not going to pick it up and show you because the camera won't easily go there apparently. But I am doing some spinning on that as well, and that will be my big workhorse wheel to do a lot of plying with. And so I'm calling these 2. The little one is going to be Felix, and the bigger one Oscar, after The Odd Couple, if you're familiar with. Felix in The Odd Couple is the little meticulous, detail-oriented guy, and Oscar is the big, more powerful, loudmouth kind of guy that are roommates. And so it's a good old-fashioned movie from the 1960s. And I decided to name these 2 wheels after Oscar and Felix. So I'll be talking and using those as we develop other episodes in the future, but definitely you'll be seeing those around. So I have a total of 4 spinning wheels to reflect my increased interest in spinning over time. And so we'll be shifting around some of the things that I do to some of the e-wheels, but I also will continue to use my old-fashioned wheels as well. I love a good treadle wheel, and I don't think I'll stop using that, but I do see that the e-spinners create a really good convenience that may allow me to get more spinning done, which is something I think I'll enjoy doing. Spinning for me is better than any kind of therapy I could possibly invest in. So for me, spinning is a calming practice, and it's even more relaxing to me than meditation. So I will definitely be pursuing more spinning. So with that said, I'm going to move on to talking about shawlography, which is the shawl that I'm currently wearing. I finished this up in late fall this year. I started it last year at the end of 2021 when I did my first make-along with Stephen West. And he's a designer that you can find over on Ravelry. I fell in love with his idea of doing a make-along and learning new techniques week by week. It was supposed to be a 4-week process. But for me, I got through the first 2 weeks and was having trouble keeping up. I was finding my finger was twinging a lot, my hand here, it was getting kind of a carpal tunnel-y feeling. So I put that aside for a while and was dealing with a lot of things at the end of last year, including my husband's had a serious illness. So I kind of put that shawl away for a while and decided to get it out again this fall when he started the next make-along. So I did manage to complete this, and I would highly recommend this shawl as one that I enjoyed knitting. I learned a lot of new techniques with it, and I really, really am happy with how it turned out. I'll provide a link to my Ravelry page where you can get more details. I did not hand spin the yarn for this, I purchased it. However, a lot of the yarn that I do work with nowadays, I do spin myself. So this is one I really love doing, and next year I hope to participate again either as a knit along or to do one of the shawls that he has designed that I really want to do over a course of about 2 months. For me, I think a 2-month time frame is much more doable than a 1 month. Okay, so lastly today I'm going to talk about the concept of Make 9. Make 9 is I think it originally started in 2015 by someone who started doing this for the purpose of increasing their sewing projects. And her name was Rochelle, and again, that's what I have heard, that she is the one who actually originated the Make 9 concept. But the idea of it is that you want to come up with about 9 projects, roughly 1 per month or so, that you can do during the course of the year, and aim for these projects to be completed throughout the year, so that by the end of the year you have more done than you might otherwise have done. And this discourages just idly changing or dropping projects at random, and encourages a little bit more intention with the knitting process. And when I say knitting, I mean all the things, because you'll see from my list that my intentions include all of the different areas I just talked about: weaving, knitting, spinning, sewing, and a wide variety of even other things, even maybe some crochet and other things. So my Make 9 list this year is going to be the following, and I actually have 10 things. Number 1, I'm going to begin the year, since I finished on such a knitting focus with this shawl, I'm going to turn my focus in January 2023 to begin by weaving some coasters, to get back into some like mug rugs or coasters. Our Arrow Rock Weaving Guild, which is my home weaving guild, we are going to be doing a project where we are asked to contribute 20 to 30 mug rugs. And I'm in the process right now. I finished winding the warp, and I'm in the process of warping it right now for a very simple mug rug that will be completed hopefully by the 3rd week of this month when they're due. And so that's going to be my first project for the year, is to complete the mug rugs. And we're going to be having a work day on January 7th to work on those together at Jeff's studio. Jeff Reynolds is one of the teachers. If you are looking for a weaving teacher in the Missouri area, he is excellent, and he is a member of my guild and does workshops regularly in our area, at least every few months. So I can refer you to him if you're looking for a 4-shaft teacher. But I'm going to be first doing that. That's my first project. Hopefully we'll be finished in January by the due date. And then next, I'm going to turn my attention toward my stash. Over the past 2 years, I've been trying to make a concentrated list of my yarn I have left, yarn and fiber, to catalog it and to sort it by color. And so I've been making pretty good progress of using that yarn before purchasing other yarn, and I'm trying to not purchase yarn or fiber unless I have a specific purpose for it. I give myself a little bit more leniency on fiber, quite frankly, and I subscribe to the Paradise Fiber Club each month, so I do acquire new fiber through it each month. But in general, I'm trying to reduce the amount of yarn that I purchase unless I do have a specific project for it. But this year, I'm going to, in the late winter, early spring, work on my Pinguono, which is a D-stash sweater project designed by Stephen West. And I'm going to be starting that again with my stash, and I'm going to be resorting my stash this year by weight of yarn instead of by color alone, because I feel like if I can arrange them in baskets in the same weight of yarn as Stephen suggests, I will be able to use it more and whittle down what I have left that is still remaining in my stash. I would like to really get down this year on that stash and either use or give away most of what's left that I have been working on reducing for the past 2 years. I think this is the final year of really either using it or getting rid of it at this point. So we'll talk more about that later, but that's going to be a big focus of mine this year, and I think knitting a Pinguono sweater from my stash, all from my stash, will be a big step in working down the stash. So that will be probably, I'm thinking, around February I'll be starting that, if not sooner. I will be doing fleece spinning. This is something I started last year. My friend Carolyn and I went out and bought a fleece from Missouri town, and I got a cream fleece that I call Camilla. And this is the first skein of yarn I spun from it. I've actually spun 2 now, so I have 300 yards of this BFL, and we went through the process of taking it, in my case, a 10-pound, very dirty white creamy fleece. Hers was darker. I think it's brownish. But it's the BFL is the fiber content. And we took a very dirty 5 to 10 pound sack of this. Each of us had. Mine was 10 pounds. And I think hers might have weighed more like 5. But we had to first wash it several times, go through the process of washing, cleaning, and getting rid of the vegetable matter that was in it. So we did a combing process, a hackling process, a combing process, and sometimes a drum carding process as well, to try to get it in as good a shape as possible. But I wanted to result in a bouncy, fluffy yarn. So that is what I received, or what I achieved with a 2-ply. And I'm going to leave it in this natural cream state. I have already started swatching for using it for a cardigan sweater. And that's going to be a large goal of mine this year, is to continue spinning up the rest of this fiber that I started washing last May. And I now need to continue prepping the fiber and spinning it until I get enough for the full sweater. And then eventually we'll be making a cardigan out of it. I don't know if the cardigan will be finished this year or if I'll just be spinning for it all year. We'll have to find out as it goes along. Then I'm going to have a goal also of sewing. Oh, first I'm going to weave the fabric from either partly hand spun and partly commercial yarns from my stash. But I will be using my 4-shaft loom, my baby wolf, to weave some fiber. And one thing I do is often design on my mannequin. I have a mannequin that I take, drape the fabric around the mannequin, and design different tunics and that kind of thing off of the mannequin. So I'm going to be doing that with hopefully some fabric that I make this year. I've done this in the past several times and I want to get back to that. I didn't do it last year, so that will be my goal, is to weave some yarn and then sew that into a tunic of my own design. I also want to weave a set of towels this year, again with my 4-shaft loom. I would like to get on my baby wolf and make some towels for the kitchen, because I haven't made towels in quite a while. And then I would also like to do a 4-shaft overshot design. I have not yet tried overshot weaving. I would like to do that this year and put it somehow into a garment, probably one that is already a ready-made garment that I might add either as an embellishment to it or in some way incorporate that overshot into part of the design of either a jacket or a blouse or something like that. I would like to take the fiber that I'm spinning right now. I just got this fiber in the Fiber Club it's a beautiful, and I don't know if it's showing up here or not, but this is Starry Night, inspired by Vincent van Gogh, that the Paradise Fiber sent us in the December mailing. And I actually purchased 2 of these packets so that I would have 8 ounces of fiber, which I hope will be enough to knit a vest out of. It'll either be a knitted or a woven vest, but I believe it'll be a knitted vest. I already have an idea of the pattern that I would use for that. So that is one of my intentions, is to weave a vest. I do often wear vests. And then also, with this particular little nano, I'm starting to spin. It spins a very fine fiber. And this is kind of a fiddly little spinning wheel. I wouldn't encourage you to get it probably as a first spinning wheel unless you have someone to help you with it. But it does spin extremely fine fiber. It likes to do lace and fingering weight yarn. So I took the camel fiber that I received in one of the Paradise Fibers mailings this fall, and I'm going to make a cowl out of this. So I should be able to do that without too much difficulty. So we'll see. That's one of my goals. And then finally will be the end of the year. I hope to do the Stephen West, either do the make along once again with the spinning or knitting another shawl, or I will choose one of his other designs like Slip Stravaganza or Starflake. He has a couple of designs that really are beautiful that I may do. I don't know yet which of the shawls of his I'm going to choose, but I am going to allow myself 2 months at the end of the year for November and December, maybe even October, November, and December, to work on that shawl, as well as to make some small gifts for people if I can get around to it and accomplish all that. This is quite a bit here on my list, so we'll see how much I am able to get done. But my goal is at the end of the year to reward myself by doing another Stephen West shawl, because I really do treasure and wear my shawls quite a bit, as you will find out over the course of time as we talk more together. I hope you have enjoyed this initial podcast. I know it's been kind of a lot to take on the first time, and hopefully I will get this up soon. But please give me your feedback. Again, feel free to make comments. I am doing this simply to share my love of the fiber arts, and mostly I imagine the audience will be people I already know. But if you do wish to share it with somebody else that you know who enjoys multi-fiber crafts, one of my purposes is to show people like myself how you can incorporate not only just knitting or weaving, but how you can incorporate multi-stages of a project and still get it done while still working a full-time job. I do have to admit I'm not busy with grandchildren or small children, so my lifestyle is an empty nester, allows me a little bit more free time in the evening and weekend than many of you might have if you are at the busier stage of your life. But for the stage of life I'm at right now, I feel really excited to go after these projects and use them as a way to relax and enjoy the free time I have in that part of my life. But even if you're at the busy part of your life, where you're a busy mother or busy young professional or whatever stage of life you're at, you can also find ways to incorporate multiple crafts and still get things done. And I hope to inspire you to do that, as well as to motivate myself to continue doing that as well. Thanks so much. Talk to you next time. Bye. And Happy New Year.